Hey everyone, it's Hospice Nurse Julie here for my first live with my new camera. Hey everyone. I'm going on a little early because I want to make sure you guys can see me and you guys can hear me. So if you can, let me know. So let's wait for everyone to come on. Let me know if you can see and hear me. I'm going to have to look down to get questions, but then I'll look back up when I'm talking to you guys. So let's see. Come on in. Hey, Lance. Hey, Salty Rider. I like your name. Can you guys hear me okay? Hear and see me okay? Hey, Megan. Yes, you can. Beautiful. So I am going to be trying to look at the camera the best I can and keep talking to you guys. Oh my gosh. Hi from Alaska. Hi. Come on in, everyone. I'm a little early. I was starting at 5, but I wanted to come in a little early to make sure everything was working okay. Perfect. Sounds good. Great. Okay. So welcome everyone. I'm Hospice Nurse Julie. If most of you know, hopefully, if not, that's who I am. I'm a hospice nurse who educates about death and dying. I believe that education will decrease your fear, help you prepare so you can live better and then die better. So let me know your questions in the chat and we can get started. I'll be on here for about an hour. So thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much. A lot of people from Canada, New Zealand, Wisconsin, Brooklyn. A bunch of Canadians up in here. I'm loving it. Australia. Very hard for me not to give you an Australian accent. Howdy, folks. Texas gal here. I love Megan. Megan is a member of my YouTube, which you guys can be too if you want. And you get these little emojis of me, which she loves to throw out, which I think is hilarious. Okay, Mary, that's my mother's name, says, when a person is having terminal secretions, can the moisture be suctioned like in the hospital when a patient can't swallow? So we do not like to do this on hospice because suctioning the secretions out of the mouth actually creates more secretions. It increases the production of your saliva. So we don't like to do it because it actually creates more of a problem. Can we do it? Yes, you can get a portable suction in your home and do that. Do we recommend it? No, because it actually creates more of an issue. There's medications we can give to dry up the secretions. You can roll your loved one over to basically have it just come out. The secretions come out of their mouth, put their head up, and those are the things we recommend first. The suctioning, not so much, but technically you could. What's the difference between hospice and palliative care? This question to me is complicated, difficult, and a little boring to answer. Not that your question is boring. It's not boring. Everyone wants to know, but it's a long-winded, hard to answer question. I have a video on my page labeled difference between hospice and palliative care, or like hospice versus palliative care. The video is like a few down. Just go to my videos and you'll see it labeled there, and that video will answer that question for you. I hope that helps. Thank you, everybody who's saying so many sweet things. I really appreciate you. Julie, how did you decide you wanted to be in hospice? So I was an ICU nurse for many years, probably 8 to 10 years. I was a hospice or an ICU nurse. Because I was an ICU nurse, that created some passion in me about having conversations earlier about death and dying, about people dying a different way, not in a hospital bed. That seemed very traumatic to me and dramatic and just didn't seem right. So I became passionate about death and dying, and then passionate about hospice and palliative care. So that is how I did that. Southern California here, Michelle. Me too, girl. Do you think when a person who is close to death knows it's near? I do think people know they're dying. Retired LVN, Mima, San Diego. I love that. I'm Hospice Nurse Julie, you guys, in case you don't know. I talk all things death and dying related. Thank you, Beth. Is it true that our loved ones start seeing and talking to dead relatives? Is their time near? It is true. Not everyone does, but many people do. It's usually a few weeks to a month before they die, but that's just from my experience. And it's usually a few weeks to a month before someone dies. But everyone's different, and people do, but that does happen to many people. How long can someone remain on palliative care, and how is it different from hospice, which obviously someone can heal enough to get off hospice? Yes, people can heal enough to get off hospice. Those people usually have chronic terminal illnesses like COPD, CHF, Alzheimer's, dementia. Very few cancer patients, I would say, go on hospice and come off hospice. But different chronic diseases, you can come on and come off hospice. With palliative care, that's more of a symptom management program, and you can be getting simultaneous treatment for your cancer and be on palliative care, which will help manage your symptoms. Julie, who makes the decision for hospice? Doctor, family, or patient? If the patient is alert and oriented, they can make the decision. If the patient is not, the family can. The doctor should be the one guiding you, letting you know what's most appropriate and what they think you should do. And a lot of doctors need help with that. Not all, but many doctors are they're just not great at end of life conversations. But ultimately, it's up to the patient and the family, and up to the hospice company too. If you don't qualify for hospice, you won't come on. They won't just let anybody on there. You have to qualify. You have to meet criteria per Medicare guidelines. So we are federally funded through Medicare. Medicare is our boss. No problem, Jess. My mom passed 3 days before she passed. She saw her mom, my daughter, and others. Do you think this really happened? I do, Sonia. I do think that really happened. My aunt's hospice nurse literally just stood there. She didn't talk or do anything. Are there a lot of hospice nurses like this? I don't think so, Shelley. No, I would not say that there are a lot of hospice nurses like that. I'm really sorry for your experience. Would you recommend playing soothing music during the final days? I would only recommend that if you think the person who is dying would like that. If you don't think they would like that, then I would not recommend it. I would like that sometimes, but I also would like The Office playing in the background a lot, right? So it depends on the person's personality. And actually, that's something you should discuss prior to this. Like, this is all things that I think family members should be like talking about over dinner. So like everyone knows what everyone wants. These are the conversations we all should be having all the time, long before we're on our deathbed. I want to make that like a normal occurrence. My mom would have loved you. Oh, Linda. Thank you. Lisa says, my 91-year-old mother-in-law lived with us, very active until her kidney disease started her towards the end of life. She wanted to die at home, found her passed falling off the toilet in the morning. Did she suffer? So end-stage kidney disease, likely not. That's very, hey, Steph, nice to see you. It's a very gentle way to die. She could have, a lot of people die in the toilet because they're straining. They're straining on the toilet because they're like pushing to poop or pee, right? It's hard for me to know for sure. I wish I could say for sure 100% she didn't suffer. You know, I can't say that for sure. And I think people just want reassurance because they are grieving and it's hard not to know for sure. I don't think so, right? I don't think so. But of course, I don't know for sure. In general, kidney disease is not painful. My mom went on hospice. She is getting blood clots. They said her blood thinners are not working anymore. She's 89 and in a nursing home due to a heart attack. I'm not sure what to expect. So if she is already on hospice, anyone whose loved ones are already on hospice, I am always happy to answer questions. I can't. Ask the doctor, ask the nurse what to expect. I don't know her diagnosis. It sounds something cardiac related. She should not suffer in general because we hospice companies are pros at helping with any kind of symptom. And In general, things you can expect in general will be less eating, less drinking, more sleeping, less functional ability, meaning she won't be able to get up and walk around. She'll be sleeping almost all the time, almost no eating and no drinking. If you want some references, look for my videos that talk about actively dying, what that actually looks like. Now, your mom is definitely not actively dying. That's the last phase of death. But it's always important to know what that looks like, because that's the phase of death that scares people the most. But it's the most normal thing ever. And most of the stuff that happens during that time is totally normal. And it's a physiological and metabolic change of the body that's making their loved one look so different. I hope that helps. When people die suddenly with no known reason, sometimes young, do they usually know they're going to die soon? Do they see dead loved ones? I have no idea. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I can't answer that question. I don't know. I've had several of my friends die suddenly, and I wonder the same thing. It's really hard not to wonder, were they scared? Did they suffer? What were they thinking? It makes me sad just thinking about it. But I don't know. But I don't know if you've gone through something like this with one of your loved ones and are seeking answers because you're grieving and because you just think about it, right? I know I do, and I did. And I'm just glad you're here. And I'm glad you asked the question, even though I can't answer it. And just know you're not alone, because I have also had people in my life suddenly die. And I've also thought the same thing. I think in general, this is just my belief, so this doesn't really matter. My belief is they aren't suffering, and that they are greeted by a place and by people that feel a lot like home, that we just don't remember when we're in this state, when we're in this world, right? That's what I think, but that's just a belief. So I don't know for sure. I don't want to be too out of it as I die. I worry that narcotics will affect how I pass over. Your thoughts, Philip? Philip, I think people will respect what you want. I think don't. It's called what do we always say? Contempt before prior investigation or something. I would say don't knock it till you try it, right? I mean, you don't have to take narcotics at the end of life. Not everyone even has pain or symptoms at the end of life to take narcotics. So you might not even have to. But I would say if you are in pain, I've seen so many people who are in severe pain and not having good pain control, and then take narcotics for their pain management, and then come to life. I think narcotics get a really bad rap because people abuse them, which is a whole nother topic and story. And I have a huge heart for addicts. But that's not the population we're talking about. People who actually have pain and take narcotics don't usually just like that. They actually come to life sometimes because their pain is finally gone and they can finally feel free from pain. So keep that in mind. Yes, you can get a little loopy, especially at first if you're naive to it. But if you need it, you need it. But we will respect what you want, of course. Boy, do I need you, Harmony says. My aunt, ex-husband's actually, just started Comfort Care Tuesday. She's on morphine and Ativan every 4 hours. I've been caring for her at home for almost 8 years. I'm struggling with how long. I bet it says how long this is taking. I'm scared. Oh, Harmony. Girl, actually, I don't know if you're a girl, but I think you are. Don't mean to gender you. Work with the hospice team. It's normal to feel afraid. You're not doing anything wrong. You're caring for someone. It just feels scary, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're doing something wrong. And if you need help, you call the hospice company. And you always remember, is my loved one clean? Are they safe? And are they comfortable? If you can answer those 3 questions, you're good. How do you know if they're comfortable? You look at them. Their body language will tell you. They're like a baby. If a baby's sleeping in the crib, we know they're okay. Because we know that if they're not okay, they won't be sleeping in that crib. They're going to be crying. They're going to be moaning. They're going to be fussy. They're going to be rolling around, restless, right? So go by that. Go by nonverbal body language cues. And when in doubt, call the hospice company. When in doubt, call the hospice company. This is not all on you. Is it true that a person who just died weighs a few ounces less the minute before? I have no idea. I wish I did. I wish I had some cool fact for you about that, but I don't know, and I don't think so. Did becoming a hospice nurse make you more spiritual? I think I was already spiritual, and then I became a hospice nurse, but it definitely didn't hurt. It definitely didn't hurt. Some of my stories definitely didn't hurt. Okay, so we're about, 15 minutes in. So just in case you guys are new, I'm Hospice Nurse Julie. In case you don't know, I'm at Hospice Nurse Julie on all of my socials. So Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. If you want to go to my website, hospicenursejulie.com, that'll tell you about the retreat I'm doing live in person with Hospice Nurse Penny in Boone, North Carolina in September. If you want to go to that, all are welcome. Anyone's welcome. We're having a small group there, so come on over if you can. I also have a membership to my YouTube channel or to my Facebook channel, which gives you a little more of an inside scoop. It's not for everybody. Not everyone wants that, but some people want a little more hands-on, a little more closeness, a little more ability to ask questions, things like that. So that's what the memberships are for. How about ALS for death? ALS death can be rough. ALS in general is a bad disease. I don't want to ever sugarcoat that. The people who are wondering what it is, it's like they call it the Lou Gehrig's disease. That's what Stephen Hawking had, or some form of that. And the people dying from that, it can be okay. We just usually have to sedate them because the main symptoms are shortness of breath. You feel like you can't breathe a lot. So we usually just fully sedate someone until they die. So we don't sedate for them to die, right? We sedate them so they die comfortably. Usually. I'm being general here. Thank you, Megan. Okay. Do you think that the healthcare workers that are around death all the time sometimes lose their capacity for empathy? It's a good question. I hope you guys are still here. I'm going through literally each question. I do think we can maybe not lack empathy, but we can get compassion fatigue for sure, especially in the hospitals. I definitely did that as an ICU nurse. You have to compartmentalize what's going on or you cannot do it. So it's not like we kind of almost disassociate, I feel like, a little bit, especially in the ICU. For me in the hospital, I definitely did that. I didn't really lack empathy, but you can't fully be in it or you can't survive, it feels like. I have been around death so much, but that has not made me desensitized. I'm not that. I'm more like, wow, how about this? Okay, you guys, all 201 of y'all, I hope this blows your mind right now, because the more I'm around death, the less scared I am. Not because I'm cut off from emotion, but because I've just seen so many times how our bodies will take care of us and how it seems to be a sacred thing that happens to our bodies. And people seem to be okay at the end of life. And it makes me feel at peace. And it makes me feel not scared, but like I'm in a sacred space. And I'm honored to be there. So it doesn't feel sad. It feels sacred. I think that can happen for me because I'm not grieving. I'm not the one who's losing the parent, right? So I can see how it could feel different when it's my mom. I wonder how I'll feel, right? But I will say the more I'm around it, the more it feels sacred. And it feels like special, almost like, I can't think of a better word, but almost like a miracle. It feels like a birth to me, like they're going somewhere they've always been. Or they're going back to somewhere they've always been. There's my little soapbox. You guys don't need to believe that, but that is how it feels when I'm around it. What's the minimum age for a retirement home? Zombie Greece. That's a great question. I have no idea. 55? Literally no idea. I'm making up that number. I have no idea. Anyone in the comments, you guys, please feel free to talk to each other as long as you are respectful and everything is, you guys are respectful, please talk to each other. I want to build this place as a community of people that we meet here together as a community. If you guys are interested in becoming a member, you can go to that on my page and just click become a member, I think. That makes you into a tighter, smaller community. There's about 40 or 50 people in there now. You get special little things, and you get like first dibs at question answering and things like that. It's not for everybody, believe me, but if you want to, that's an option. Hey, Julie, my mom is dying from an aggressive small cell cancer. Love watching your videos. Hospice nurse, he is the best. The hospice nurses don't get enough credit. Oh, thank you, Chris Sanders. Thank you so much. Let's see. I'm going to keep going here. Can anyone ask about palliative sedation on hospice? You can definitely get palliative sedation on hospice. You can't just ask for it from what I know. You can't just say, I want to be palliatively sedated. You have to have symptoms out of control, which I think a lot of people, the biggest myth is that death hurts. The disease you're dying from can cause many symptoms, and that's what can be painful about death. But not every disease causes death, and dying itself, the act of dying, does not hurt. So people don't necessarily need a bunch of medications to die. Our bodies are built to do it and do it well. So yes, you can get palliative sedation. No, you can't just get it for any reason. You have to have symptoms out of control. Hi, Julie. Brilliant site. Thank you. I'm a paramedic in the UK. Myself and crewmates have witnessed many paranormal events over the years, especially around death and end of life. I totally believe there is something. Alessandro, thank you for being an EMT. That makes you a total badass. Thank you, Lisa. My mom made me her DPOA because we've always been very close, and I am more familiar with her health. Why am I always dealing with anger from other family members? It's been so hard to deal with. Oh, B. Humphreys, I hope you're still here. This happens all the time. A mother or an aunt or someone puts one person in charge legally, right? And they're the main person there who's there all the time. And then all the other family members who are not there all the time want outside control. What do you mean they're going on hospice? What do you mean she's not getting the surgery? What do you mean she's stopping chemo? How can you do this? Are you trying to kill her? How many times have I heard this in my lifetime? I'm so sorry you're going through this. It's very hard. It's very normal. People don't like not having control. People don't like when they don't understand something. People feel guilty that they can't be there. So it manifests in anger, and it gets taken out on you. I'm not saying that's fair, but that's what's going on. If your loved one is on hospice right now, I don't know if they are or not, but if they are, use the social worker and the chaplain and call a family meeting to talk about this. And you can set your own boundaries. You can set your own boundaries kindly and lovingly about what you will not take and what you will take. You will answer questions, but they can't be mean or whatever you want to choose, right? But if the hospice company is already involved, definitely have them do a family meeting. I have an acquaintance that has metastasized cancer. She said she can't think about the end. How do I tell her about you without offending her? If it's just an acquaintance, maybe I wouldn't. If it's just an acquaintance. If people don't ask for advice, don't give it. If they're not asking. If she asks, go ahead, tell her. But if not, I wouldn't. It's not our place. She'll find me if she finds me. You know what I mean? For end-stage liver disease, what's the life expectancy? Oh, it's so hard. My mom came home yesterday and is on hospice. Valencia, James, I would ask your hospice team. I'm not saying that in a jerky way. Like I don't want to not answer your question, but they would know more than I do. It would be unfair of me to sit here and go, well, she likely has this much time left. If I can't see her, I don't know her age. I don't know other things going on. I don't know how she looks, right? So ask the hospice company. My brother was dying from cancer. I hadn't seen him for a while because of a fight. I went to his house. He yelled, "Nell, you're here." I rubbed his back. He died in my arms. Do you think he waited? Yes, I do think he waited. How beautiful. I'm so glad you got to get there. I'm a hospice nurse in Mississippi. I found my calling after 28 years in nursing. I love and learn a lot from you. Oh my gosh, thank you, Latrice. That's how I feel too. I found my calling. Is it true that the person who just died? Oh, I already read that one. Miss Julie, do your patients mention OBEs? Some people practice leaving their bodies. Goth, I don't know what you mean, but I'm glad you're here. Have you ever cared for a bladder cancer patient in hospice? Yes, I have. Have you looked into hospice? I have looked into hospice near our home for when the time comes. Can you tell me what to expect with my husband's bladder cancer? You can expect the kind of typical things. There usually is some pain, but nothing crazy. You can expect very little eating and drinking. That's for everybody. And a lot of sleeping. And then functional decline. That's like the main thing. Pain, specifically with bladder cancer. Not crazy, but a little bit. Urination problems, possibly. No eating and drinking, or very, very little. Functional decline, meaning, eventually they'll be having a hard time getting up to walk and things, and sleeping all the time. Those are the main things you'll see, just slowly. Thank you, Anita. Is it true about dead weight? Yes. People who, once they died, are much, much heavier. Yes. What role does religious faith play in dying, in your opinion? I wouldn't say any kind of religious faith plays a role. I guess you can consider it religious faith. I do think people who seem to have faith in something, doesn't have to be a certain religion, whatever religion, just any kind of faith, they do seem to let go easier. They do, like, their beliefs and their faith does seem to comfort them and help them. But I've seen plenty of people who do not believe in anything have wonderful, beautiful, peaceful deaths, and they're not afraid. And I've seen a lot of people who do believe in stuff and they are afraid and they do fight it tooth and nail. I think personality plays a big part more than religion. But in general, I would say faith of some kind does seem to bring comfort. Let's see here. Ooh, boy, there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of questions, you guys. I'm so sorry. I'm going to skip down a little bit, okay? I'm going to skip down. If I didn't get to your question, keep asking it if you can. Bear with me here. I'm going to start fresh down a little further. Thank you, Megan, for all of Megan's one of my members, and she has little emojis of me. Please tap the heart to send likes. Yes, if you tap the heart to send likes, I think that does something good to the live. I don't know exactly what, but something. Okay. If anyone's interested, there's a membership to my YouTube channel, which kind of, Dawn's one of my members too. Okay, Dawn, I'm going to answer your question here. I've sat with 2 family members as they pass and have experienced all the things you described about actively dying. Your videos are helping me get over the fear of death. Oh, Dawn. Well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being there for your family. And yes, I have videos. I don't know if you got who has seen them and who hasn't, but I have videos specifically showing actual people who I've gotten their permission from. They're not my patients. I've shown what it looks like when someone is actively dying, which is the last phase of death. And so many people, I just think it's so important that people see what that actually looks like. So when they see it in real life with their loved ones, they're not so freaked out. They're not so scared. They understand what's normal, what's not normal, why it's happening, how they're not suffering. So Dawn, thank you for bringing that up, and thank you for being here, and thank you for supporting my membership program. You're one of my OGs, baby. Ooh, I'm an oncology RN, and we have patients who decide to go with hospice often. However, patients have so many questions before deciding. Is it appropriate to mention your channel? I think so. I think so. I think there needs to be. I don't care whose channel. If it's my channel, if it's Hospice Nurse Penny's channel, like it can be, as long as that. Barbara Carnes is a great resource. Anyone out there who has that can help them. So yes, I think that's appropriate. You totally can do that. I think it's easy because they're like little 1-minute snippets, but there's a lot. They can always just Google stuff too. You know what I mean? But yes, I think that is appropriate, especially if they're asking about it. If they're not asking, no, don't do it. But if they are asking, yes. Yes. And thank you for being an oncology nurse. So hard. Oh, someone said, Julie, Scientific American just published an article on the rally prior to death. Yes, terminal lucidity is when someone looks like they're very, very close to death, and then suddenly they perk up and they get better for a day or two, and then they die again. They die. So they're getting close, pew, back up. Are they getting better? Down, die. So it's like the last hurrah, this view up here where they're kind of themselves again, usually for a few hours, maybe for a day or two. It's time for the family members and for that person to rally, right? Let's be together. This is the last hurrah. Let's all be together. Let's appreciate this time and know in the back of your head, this could be it. This could be it. Now, if the rally lasts longer than a few days, it's not the rally. It's not the rally. They're having a burst of energy for whatever reason. The rally is specifically very short. Okay, Hayden says, may I ask when was the exact moment you realized what you wanted to do with your life? Hayden, I did not have an exact moment. I've had several moments throughout my life, and usually, unfortunately, a lot of pain. I'm really pushed by pain instead of pulled by love. So like when I get miserable, I do work to be, I do the work to find out what's going on with me. Who am I? What do I want? Right. And I've had cycles of that in my life, in my 20s, in my 30s, and now in my 40s. I'm sure it'll happen again. I'll get complacent. I'll get a little restless, irritable, and discontent. And that will push me out of my comfort zone to do other things. So I've had several, I'm only 40 and I've already had kind of several lives, I feel like. That's a great question. Thank you for asking. Has anyone ever revealed a deathbed confession to you? Yes. ES, that's the person who wrote this. I wish. Will someone please give me the tea? I want a deathbed confession. But no, they have not. No deathbed confessions. No deathbed confessions. I wish. Is that weird that I wish? Hey, Julie, what are the most chilling things you've ever witnessed when someone died? Something that has stuck with you. So let me tell you this. Chilling things, I wouldn't say chilling like, that was creepy. I'd say chilling like, oh, shit, that was amazing. What was that? And it's mostly feelings. Certain feelings that are hard to describe unless you're there, witnessing someone take their last breath. And what I'll say is, I've witnessed many, many people take their last breath. And the love in that room is undeniable. The love, it feels like you know how when you see a baby being born, which maybe some of you haven't, but even if you watch a video of a baby being born, you can kind of be like, ugh, right? Because it's kind of like, what's going on? And then the baby comes out and it's crying. And to me, it's hard not to cry a little bit like, whoa, that's crazy. Or even if you're watching a dog being born or an animal being born, it feels a little crazy and a little overwhelming and a little beautiful. That is weirdly how it feels when someone takes their last breath. And I think people who are going through it with their loved one have a hard time seeing that and experiencing that because they're in grief and they're scared. But I'm hoping through education that I get more and more people to realize that it's not an emergency what's happening, that they can feel sadness and see the sacredness in basically ushering someone home. Does that make sense? Linda, another one of my members. Hey, girl, thank you for supporting me. Have you ever worked with patients who have death doulas? How did it work? So death doulas are like, people know what midwives are, or they know what birth doulas are. People who help women have babies. A death doula is someone who helps a person die by helping the family, by preparing. They can be there and sit vigil, meaning like they can be the one who's kind of sitting there until they die. Death doulas kind of all decide differently how they want to be in the role in the family and with the patient. So it's kind of up to the patient and death doula how they're going to work. Are they going to be there after this person dies, during, before? It just depends. I, oddly enough, have never worked with a death doula, which is crazy because I live in Los Angeles and I'm sure there's a million death doulas here. I've never worked with any of them, but I would love to. I don't personally want to be a death doula, although it definitely appeals to me, because I feel like my boundaries would be crossed a lot. I think I would have a hard time with personal boundaries with that one. Not that death doulas do or do not. I personally, though, as a death doula, I think I would have a hard time cutting off the boundary because families usually have to pay out of pocket for death doulas because insurance and Medicare doesn't pay for them. So families have to pay out of pocket. So then I would have some weird feeling of like I owed them something. I don't know. That's a me problem. That's not a anything else problem. But I think they're great. I think they need to be utilized more. And I think our insurance companies and healthcare systems should pay for them so families don't have to. I asked because we just had a 37-year-old young mother of one and a 4-year-old who she and her husband were scared to death of hospice. And I thought watching your channel may help them feel better. You know what? I hope it would. If they were asking about it, I would see what they say. Okay, Candy says, my mother lives 2,000 miles away. She has bladder cancer. She's doing radiation and chemo. She wants me to be positive, but she sleeps all the time, and I feel like she's dying, but not wanting me to know. It's Candy, that's so hard. Candy, is there any way, it's hard to know. I am not an oncologist, unfortunately, right? So like I only see cancers when they're end stage. So I do see bladder cancer patients on hospice, but that doesn't mean specifically that your mom is definitely there, right? People with bladder cancer could live a long time until they come to hospice, right? So it's really hard to know. If you could talk to her, can you specifically just ask her that? Can you just say to her, hey, is this what's going on? And, I don't know where you are financially. I mean, do not tell me. I'm not trying to be inappropriate, but financially, if you can take time off and go be with your mom for a little bit, I would. If you can't, that's okay too. But if you can, like, to me, it's like the time is now. The time is now. You don't want to have regrets, whether she is dying or is not dying. She could be sleeping a lot because the treatments take a lot out of her. And then once the treatment stops, she'll feel better. I don't know that specifically, but you could always go there and then go to her doctor's appointments and then ask the doctors. Just my thoughts. But sending you love, girl, because that's hard. Thanks, Wildfire. Thank you, Wildfire. Oh, you're disabled, so no income. Oh, God, Candy, I'm sorry. Do you have an ability to get there or no? What do you use? So atropine drops on hospice are used for terminal secretions. You put the atropine drops, drop in the mouth, and it dries up the secretions. V-Team Paranormal. I am curious about your name. Hi, do people who have memory loss and very severe COPD? I have severe COPD. Oh, wait. Hold on. And constant short memories, exhausted all the time. VT Paranormal. I don't know what you're asking me, boo. I don't know what asking me. I don't know what you're asking me. Okay, let's get back to some questions here. Hopefully you can ask that again, V-Team. Hi, everyone. All socials at Hospice Nurse Julie. I'm doing an in-person live retreat in September in Boone, North Carolina. All the information for that is at hospicenursejulie.com. You can join my membership on YouTube or Facebook. You do not have to do that, but memberships just get easier access to me. I do not have the time to answer everyone's questions all the time. So if you want more of a community, more of a connection, I do offer membership services. Again, you do not have to do that, but if you want to, it's there for you. Thanks, Nadia. How do you know when end-stage dementia starts? What's hospice qualification protocol? End-stage dementia is all over the place because someone could be like this, right? They're going along. They're not as well as they were up here in their life, right? But they're going along, and then something happens. They get an infection, they fall, they do something, and then they go downhill. When they're down here, people, their doctor might say, maybe it's time for hospice, right? Or they've had trouble swallowing, they get aspiration pneumonia down here, they lost a bunch of weight, something. So they go on hospice down here. And they say it's end stage, quote unquote, because it's not really, we don't really know, but maybe it could be. And then they start crawling back up. And then they plateau out here. They were here, now they're here. And then they get taken off hospice. And then they live another year or so. And then the same thing again, they get a really bad UTI or something, go downhill again. So it's really hard to know. I'd say for sure it's the end if your person is sleeping 24 hours a day. So not waking up. No food and water at all. I'd say then you know. Otherwise, with dementia, it's really hard. People can live a long time fully bedbound, not talking, and they're having a cup full of food every day. They can live a long time like that if they have good enough caregivers. I'm not saying it's right, but that is what can happen sometimes. When dying from cancer, do you feel like the death is especially painful even with pain meds? No, I would not say so. We, for the most part, can manage people's pain. My whole family still feels bad after my grandma passing. We didn't know what the surge was back then, so they thought my grandma got better. Then she died a few hours later. Oh, I'm so sorry. That's so hard. Hi, Aunt C. Hi, my father-in-law passed away peacefully in hospice 4 years ago. The hospice nurse was amazing. She's an angel. Oh, thank you. I'm so glad you had a good experience. Okay, let's see. Hi, Julie. Hi, Butterfly. Okay, here we go. My parents both had hospice services. The hospice nurses were so nice. We appreciate hospice. Oh, thank you, Ben. Thank you, Linda. Oh, okay, great. Are certain Medicare plans better for hospice care? No. Hospice care is there is one hospice care. There are all rules. So every single hospice company in the United States should act accordingly per Medicare guidelines. So there are some. Do you work actively in LA? Yes, I do, Michelle. So there are companies, right, that fudge the lines a little bit, right, to help the patients out. I'm not even saying it's bad, but they do, to help patients out. Technically, they are committing Medicare fraud if they're doing things that Medicare says you can only do. Let's see, you can only start continuous care, which is like 24-hour nursing, if symptoms are out of control. Well, some hospices will just go, yeah, symptoms are out of control. We're just going to start continuous care, but symptoms are not actually out of control. That is technically Medicare fraud. Because some hospice companies do that, and guess what? They do it because they want the money from Medicare and to help the patient, but also sometimes it's because they want more money, because you do get more money if people are in continuous care. Then it makes the other hospice companies who actually follow Medicare guidelines look really bad, like they're not doing enough. All hospice companies should follow Medicare guidelines. If they do not, they will eventually be shut down because Medicare watches hospice to make sure we're not committing Medicare fraud. So specifically, like the hospice company I work for, I like working for them because they are very strict with Medicare guidelines, and it never feels businessy. Like it never feels like we're trying to get people on service because we're a business and we want Medicare money. It never feels like that. But the downside is they really follow Medicare guidelines. So if someone's symptoms are not are in control, we're not going to give you continuous care just because your other aunt who had a different hospice did. I get that all the time. Well, my aunt who was on hospice with a different company, they got continuous care. So there's a give or take. There's a give and take. I do think palliative sedation is legal in all states. You only can do it if it's actually needed, though, is the thing. So you can't just do it for the heck of it. She wants to know if people with severe COPD typically experience memory loss. She's experiencing this with herself. Yes, people with COPD can have short-term memory loss. Yes. Yes. I do actively work in LA. Yes. I am a nurse in Los Angeles. I still work as a nurse. Thank you, Addie. Thank you, Beth. Rick P says, how often does a patient go home from hospice? I would say almost all the time. I always think that is the end, and some folks disagree. How often does a patient go home from hospice? People do go home from hospice. I would say mostly not cancer patients for the most part, but patients with like chronic terminal illnesses like COPD, CHF, Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's disease, they can come on and come off. ALS patients can come on and come off. Yes. Yes, V team paranormal. It is normal to have some memory issues with COPD. Yes. Again, never come to me for medical advice. I cannot give medical advice. Remember that. Always go to your palliative care doctor, or your doctors, not palliative care doctors, any of your doctors. I am just here to give general information. I'm in the funeral industry. Thank you for what you do as a hospice nurse, especially as an educator. Oh, thank you. I wish people would do the same about what happens after you die. Seriously, I know. I'm a terminal pancreatic cancer patient, still doing chemo, working full time. Wow, you're working full time. Your channel has made all the difference in me accepting what the future holds. Oh, Katrina. Oh, my heart. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. I'm so glad you're here. My hubby's only kidney is failing and he's starting dialysis soon. He needs radiation for prostate cancer. He's 74, slowing down, sleeps a lot, is dying from kidney failure, very painful. No, it's one of the most peaceful deaths ever. Ever. Is the dying process the same for all people? So once you get to the actively dying phase, which is a few hours to a few days, the very last phase of dying, it's usually the same for all people. There's a little tweaks here and there, but most of the time it's the same. Fully unconscious, no food and water, changes in breathing. They're going to breathe differently and very different than what you're used to seeing. Changes in skin color, sometimes hot and then cold. Their eyes are usually open, but not making eye contact. Their mouth is usually open. And then terminal secretions. So like that gurgling noise. That's usually how everyone looks. I follow a YouTuber who came off hospice with end-stage liver disease, how their liver failure balance. Yeah, so sometimes there is liver failure. If it's not through cancer, if it's through just disease, it can actually get better. All right, you guys, I've been on here for 50 minutes. I think that is good. 50 minutes. Thank you so much for everyone who came. Don't forget to subscribe if you don't subscribe to me already. I'm Hospice Nurse Julie. I'm also on all social media across the board. If you want more information about my in-person retreat, everyone's welcome. Go to hospicenursejulie.com. You can find information there. If you are interested in a membership for YouTube, there's a button somewhere that says membership. And it gives you like an access to the community. It gives you like little funny stickers of me like Megan has on the screen right now, which is hilarious. In the chat, I can see your questions first. You can ask me personal questions. I'll be able to see them because it's in the membership only thing. So again, it doesn't, you don't have to. It's only if you're really, committed to this community or someone who has a lot of questions or is going through something. And again, I can't give medical advice. So stick all your medical questions about your specific disease to your doctor, but I can give all, general questions. This will replay on my channel. So if you missed it, you can watch it there. And now I'm going over to Facebook. I'm going to do this on Facebook now too. All right, you guys. Thank you so much. Mwah. Thank you, Megan. You're the best. Thank you to all my membership subscribers. I see you. I appreciate you. I appreciate the support. Thank you, all you guys, all my subscribers. You guys are so great. And thank you for this chat that's going on great in the community too. I appreciate you. Thanks to all my nurses out there, my chaplains, my social workers, my CNAs, the doctors. Thank you guys. The patients, their families. I mean, let's just thank everybody. All right, you guys. I'll talk to you later. Thank you. How do I get off this thing? Maybe I won't leave. Oh, end stream. There we go. Okay, bye.